The wind howled a mournful tune through the gnarled branches of the ancient weeping willow, its cascading leaves brushing the weathered headstones of Elmwood Cemetery. Sarah, a wisp of a girl with eyes wide with terror, huddled behind the mausoleum, her breath coming in panicked gasps. Beside her, her friend, Michael, a bravado barely masking his own fear, tightened his grip on a rusty flashlight. They shouldn't have been there. Not after dark. Not after the town gossips spun their tales of the White Lady, a vengeful spirit said to roam the cemetery under the full moon. Yet, here they were, drawn by a morbid curiosity and a reckless dare. The first sign came as a twig snapped in the distance. Sarah whimpered, her heart hammering against her ribs. Michael shushed her, shining the weak flashlight beam into the darkness. The wind danced with the shadows, twisting them into grotesque shapes that seemed to mock them. Then came the weeping. It started as a faint sob, barely audible over the wind's lament. But it grew, rising in pitch and intensity until it filled the air, a sound so raw with sorrow it scraped against their souls. Sarah squeezed her eyes shut, tears pricking them. The flashlight flickered and died, plunging them into an inky blackness. Michael swore. "It's okay, Sarah," he said, his voice strained, "we just need to get to the car." They stumbled blindly through the headstones, their hands outstretched, the weeping growing louder with every step. Suddenly, Sarah felt a cold, clammy hand grip her wrist. A scream died in her throat as a chilling voice whispered in her ear, "Lost, little one." Sarah yanked her arm free, tripping and falling onto a grave. Scrambling up, she saw Michael a few feet away, his face contorted in terror as he stared at a shrouded figure floating towards them. The moonlight, filtering through the willow's leaves, cast an eerie glow on its form, revealing a woman in a tattered white gown, her face obscured by the hood. They turned and ran, a desperate, panicked flight through the maze of tombstones. The weeping escalated into a banshee wail, driving a spike of fear into their hearts. Sarah could feel the ghostly presence gaining on them, the raw sorrow in its cry transforming into a chilling rage. Just as they reached the cemetery gate, a thick fog rolled in, swallowing them whole. Sarah tripped, scraping her knee. She heard Michael call out her name, his voice muffled by the swirling mist. But then, silence, panic seized Sarah. She was alone, lost in the graveyard with the vengeful spirit. The weeping had stopped, replaced by an unnatural stillness that pressed down on her like a suffocating weight. Then, a cold hand clamped over her mouth. A scream turned into a muffled whimper as Sarah fought against whatever held her. A soft, mournful sigh filled her ears, followed by the sound of retreating footsteps. When the fog finally lifted, the first rays of dawn painted the sky a pale gold. Sarah, weak and trembling, stumbled out of the cemetery, her eyes red-rimmed from tears and terror. She found Michael huddled by the car, his face pale, eyes wide with relief. They left Elmwood Cemetery behind, never to return. They never spoke of the weeping, the White Lady, or the chilling encounter in the mist. But the memory lingered, a dark stain on their youthful innocence. Years passed. Sarah and Michael grew up, moved on with their lives. But on every full moon, Sarah would wake up in a cold sweat, the mournful weeping echoing in her ears. A single tear would roll down her cheek, a silent tribute to the heartbroken spirit trapped within the confines of Elmwood Cemetery, forever lamenting its forgotten sorrow.